So this is the Asics Novablast 1 after 400 miles. I know some guys run in shoes 50 miles, 100 miles, 200 miles, and you can kind of see the progression of the wear on the shoe. So this is kind of what I would say is towards maybe a little bit of the end of the life of the Novablast 1. I'm actually kind of surprised at how well it's held up over 400 miles. I know some guys have run in shoes, 700, 800 miles, and depending on the outsole material, and the construction of the shoe, they can get away with that. It doesn't cause any issues. So here, the upper, like I said, has this has held up really well to me. You can kind of see where I had some heel rubbing issue here, a little bit on the right shoe, but a lot more here on the left. And this probably happened for the first 2 weeks, and it kind of goes into the fit of the shoe, which I'll describe a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, the outsole has held up well. I feel like the midsole is actually still pretty bouncy. I mean, it's still, it flexes, but it's not super, loose or really bendable. I feel like there's still some pretty good bounce to this midsole. So with the outsole, you can see here, so one of the main reasons that I moved into this shoe from the Brooks Ghost lineup was because I wanted something with a little bit lower drop. So the Ghost lineup is typically 12 millimeters. This Novablast 1 is 10 millimeters. So it's 22 millimeters in the forefoot, 32 in the heel. And kind of at the time, I chose this shoe because I wanted a little bit more of the impact protection in the heel. Obviously, because I was at the time predominantly a heel striker and trying to transition back more to the midfoot strike. And so I felt like if I had a little bit more protection in the heel, that would help as well. And I have to say it really did. Running in this shoe, I never had any heel issues. I never felt like I was having any jolts, kind of up my back into my lower back, which some shoes with a lower drop I have encountered. I've tried to work on loosening my hips and strengthening my hamstrings and kind of all that thing, go down that path to really try to get back into more of a midfoot strike and work on my form a little bit. And I think I've done that, and this shoe certainly helped that. So here, like I said, you can see, I mean, it's really just kind of worn here in these two portions on the rear of the outsole. The rest of it actually looks really good. You kind of have this little launch plate sort of thing in the front here, which I think helps. That kind of produces a little bit of that trampoline effect in the shoe. It kind of rebounds. But yeah, other than these two wear areas back here in the heel on this left shoe, it's held up really well. It's kind of the same thing here on the right shoe. Still mostly wear here on this back corner. A little bit more wear up front here. I don't know if you can see that. Slightly more wear on the right shoe there, but not bad. And even this outside of this heel on the right shoe compared to the left, you can kind of see the right shoe is held up a little bit more than the left. But overall, the outsole has done pretty well for 400 miles, I feel like. So 9.2 ounces, a 10 millimeter drop, like I said. So what did I like about this shoe? Like I said, moving to a lower drop shoe from the Brooks lineup, I was a little concerned, but really didn't cause me any issues at all. Had no problems. I feel like there's been, there's a lot of cushion in this shoe. It's pretty protective, and that doesn't translate to feeling heavy. I don't feel like this shoe is heavy at all. It did feel a little bit awkward in the beginning. The higher stack height, especially in the heel, I feel like was a little bit, tippy, or especially, trying to get around corners. And I certainly wasn't trying to race in these or run really fast paces in these. But probably for the first 50 miles, I almost felt like I was running it's kind of hard to explain, but my feeling was felt more like I was running on the top of the shoe. And then after the midsole kind of broke in a little bit more, I felt that I was sitting more inside the shoe. And the ride was a lot more stable at that point. So I think, if you get in these shoes, and I imagine the Novablast 2 is probably similar, and the reason that I wanted to show this shoe was for people, this shoe you can find on sale, or you used to be able to. I know Seth James Damore People on his channel were finding these things at Ross for like 45 bucks, 40 bucks, $25 maybe even at some point, I don't know. So you might be able to still find these on sale. I imagine the Novablast 2 is probably similar. So, to me, at those price points, I certainly would consider purchasing this shoe. I bought it fairly new. It hadn't been out too long, and I got a pretty good deal on it. It was under $100. I think it was like $95 that I was able to pick these up, and I was instantly pleased with them. And I feel like they've worn really well. Some shoes you run in them and they seem to wear fast, or all of a sudden you hit a point to where you just can't run in them anymore. Your feet hurt, and I feel like it's been a gradual wear over time. So those are kind of the things that I really did like in these shoes. They're very easy to put 400 miles into. I never felt like I was struggling in these shoes, or anytime that I went to pick them up and run on them, I never was kind of regretting the decision to do that. So what didn't I like about this shoe? So the number one issue to me in this shoe, surprisingly, I know I said that I loved running in them. They were easy to run in. They're comfortable. The fit in this shoe is hard to dial in. Once you get it dialed in, it's great. And I will say it's great for maybe that run and some subsequent runs. But at some point, I always found myself trying to have to dial the fit in again. It started with these laces, I think, from Asics. They're very thin. There's not much padding on the lace. There's not much padding on this tongue. I don't know if you'll be able to really kind of get an idea, but this tongue is not padded really at all. In fact, I will compare it to what I've been running in, the Pegasus 38. I don't know. It's kind of hard to show a comparison of tongues, but it's much more padded throughout the tongue. And the problem that I had with the Asics and these laces was it just cut into the top of my shoe. No matter, I tried so many different lacing patterns, there's really only so many that you can do. I tried, runner's knots, non-runner's knot, kind of all that thing. So after about, 3 or 4 days of trying to run in these laces, I got rid of those. I had these laces lying around, so they're more of the round lace. They're a little bit more padded. The problem with these were too short, so I couldn't use the runner's knot with them. So this is the third lace, iteration that I've had on these, and you can see, how long they are. So that, I had a lot of extra lace to play with to try to do a runner's knot or try to do a bunch of different other, lacing techniques. And even with that, and it was predominantly left shoe. Right shoe I never had an issue with. I thought about keeping a 9. I had a size 9 shoe, too small. I don't think I could have run. I don't think it was a sizing issue. I think it's just, certain shoes are built, they're constructed a certain way, and people's feet are a certain way. And, I've had kind of an issue in another pair of shoes, a Reebok pair of shoes, where the left shoe feels a little loose, but not too much of an issue. And I just have to lace that one a little bit tighter, a little bit differently than the right shoe. But this was the first time that I've ever had an issue where one shoe really, the fit was kind of really a pain to dial in. But with that said, if you can get it dialed in, or if you don't have that issue, this shoe is great, really, wonderful to run in. Let me see some of the other things. Yeah, so I talked about, the lacing. It caused a kind of bruising over the top of my foot. It was always in this area right here. So I tried to skip, lace holes sometimes, or just change the lacing pattern, and none of it really worked. And the high stack height was really the only other drawback in the very beginning. After 50 miles and the shoe broke in more, I did not have that issue. And like I said, that was one of the main reasons I bought this shoe. So I wouldn't really say that was necessarily a negative. So would I buy this shoe again? I would. Even with this fit issue, I would buy another pair of shoes. And I would like to try the second version of this. I'm curious to see if that lacing issue is different. I have watched a couple videos. Mike Kafuzi ran in these. It seems like the upper is similar. I don't really have an issue with the rest of the upper except for the tongue, and I don't know if the tongue has really changed on the Novablast 2 or not. But yeah, I would like to try and run in those and see, because I did like this FF Blast and kind of whole package really was put together well. So, in case you're curious as to how the outsole on the Novablast 1 holds up, and what that could mean for the second iteration and the wear on that, kind of here's a good look at what the shoes look like after 400 miles. So, I mean, honestly, they probably still have some life in them. It's just I've moved on to the 38, and that lacing issue, like I said, I can run in it for a couple of days and it's fine. And then, just kind of out of nowhere, I'm struggling with getting them laced up correctly again. So, I think at this point, I've moved on to other shoes, but, maybe the 2s are better. And maybe if I, went through, 2 or 3 more pairs of laces, I could really, really figure out a way to get this worked out. So I wouldn't hesitate to recommend these to anyone, that's kind of looking for a shoe like this, a daily trainer, pretty good stack height, not a ton of weight. So in the daily trainer category, these really did well for me over the last year. So hope that helps anybody considering these shoes, or even maybe the Novablast 2, and kind of what they're looking for in a daily trainer. So I'll link to the Pegasus 38, where I also talked about these as well. And yeah, have a great day, and get out and run.